We have, thank you. Uh, One event is our international conference where we have people speaking from 6 different continents. We have about 25 speakers and or maybe 30 speakers with all the keynotes. We have about 30 speakers, and already we have about 400 people registered for this conference from all over the world. So it's something really unique. This is the 3rd year that we're doing it, and it's all virtual also, and it's a lot of fun because you get to network as well. So that's happening on December 4th. And the next big event, well, we have our monthly meeting. Sorry, before that, we have our monthly meeting on November 21st, where we're going to have 2 speakers. One's going to be talking about AD security, Active Directory security, and the other one we have is going to talk about our Senior Center program. And she's also going to give tips to everybody about the latest scams that are going on for the average person and for the elderly. So should be a great meeting. So that's on November 21st. If you get our latest newsletter, you can register for it. And what was I going to say? Okay, so we have the conference, we have that. We have a public speaking workshop in 2 days. If you're interested in doing that, that's where you learn how to do impromptu speaking and prepared speeches. And last but not least is our holiday dinner. That's on December 10th. That is a beautiful place in Perth Amboy called the Armory. And we're about half sold out now. And we sold out last year, and I expect that we'll sell out again. So hope you can make one of them, if not all of them. But that's all I got, Jay. I'll let you talk. Thank you.
And if you're willing to volunteer for the chapter, please reach out to Ken or any of the board members. We're always looking for volunteers to help.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Ken. And thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I will give Ken a copy of the slides, so he will have them as well as obviously we'll post the this presentation for you. So, and Ken, can I come to the public speaking one? I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, very funny. You still need a little practice, Jay. You're a little rusty.
I haven't done anything since about 5 o'clock today. All right. So what I thought I would talk about is everybody hears the word AI, 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 AI. And yes, we've all heard about ChatGPT and we've used it. But what a lot of people don't know is that there's Microsoft Copilot. And Copilot is a brand name for the suite of artificial intelligence products that Microsoft has. There's Copilot for business applications. There's Copilot that you can use in the cloud. There's Copilot for Microsoft Sentinel. There's Copilot for Dynamics. But what a lot of people don't know is there's also Copilot for Office. You know, I hear all the time, well, why do I need AI? What can AI do for me? And how does it make it easy? And what I wanted to do tonight is show you what Copilot for Office does. Because it's one of those things, we all use Office all the time. Wouldn't it be nice if we could use AI to help us create a presentation, or AI to help us research a document, or create a document, or create an outline to do things? And that's what I'm going to show you tonight. So I'm going to talk about AI from that point of view. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jay. I've been a volunteer with the chapter since the chapter was 30 members. We're, what, close to 700 now, Ken?
Yeah, we're a little shy of 700 members. Yes.
Okay, so if you know anybody who wants to join, please have them join. And if you're just coming in and you're not a member, please join the chapter. There's my blog. I post a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of blogs because I've been on a cruise ship for the last 20 days. I'll be posting as well on security issues as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about Copilot, how to set up Copilot in Office, how to use it in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And then we'll talk about best practices. This is meant to be a discussion. So if you have a question, just pop in and say, hey, I got a question, and we'll talk about it. That's the goal for me. So what Copilot is an AI product, okay? It is an AI product that helps with a whole bunch of things. It can help us with grammar. It can help us with writing, formatting, data analysis. This sounds really silly, but I can take something that I've created using some other AI tool, like a Word document, that if I was a college student and I was using it and I gave that to a professor, the professor would go, no, just copy that and used AI, and I can make this wording look a little bit better for me as well. But I can also use it to help me find information. And I'm going to show you a couple of those demos, because I think that's really an important thing, because we all use Word all day long. We all use Office. Well, most of us. I don't know a lot of people still using Word perfect, unless you're a lawyer's office. So there's a couple of features. One, we can generate content, and we can generate text. We can generate mathematical formulas. We can generate grammar and style. Do I want this to be very polished legally, or do I want it to be more casual? I can help it format my documents and my presentations, including bringing in graphics, which is kind of cool. And it helps us with a lot of other applications as well. Okay, it's supported right now for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It's also supported in Dynamics, which is the business applications for Microsoft. But I'm going to spend time here talking specifically about Office tools and how they work, and kind of show you that mindset. So, important things to know about setting up Copilot. Copilot is an add-on to a Microsoft Office 365 account. You can either buy it for your personal Office 365 account. The company can buy it as an add-on to an enterprise or small business Office account. And it starts at about $10 a month, is about the price. And that gives you unlimited queries in Office. I will show you Copilot in just a Windows machine, and then I'll show you the differences. So your computer's got to have the capability. It's got to be able to run Office. If you can run Microsoft Office 365, then guess what? You can run Copilot. You do not need the AI chips that are coming out in the newer computers. Don't need those. If you're going to use the Windows AI capability, that gets a lot more support by having the AI chips, but it's not a requirement. The computer I'm using is a 4-year-old computer for the demonstration purposes. It does not have the AI capabilities in the machine. So I just want you to know that. So what you do is you get your copy of Office, and then you download from inside of Office. You can download the Copilot capabilities. And then after you install it, you set up and you create some shortcuts. And let me just show you what it looks like by opening up a new document. I'm going to open up Word on my computer. So let me just open up Word and drag Word over to the screen so you can see Word. And I'm just going to open up a new document. And you'll notice immediately I have a new feature here called Copilot. And here it is as well. And all I have to do is I hit Alt-I, and I can say I want to draft something with Copilot. And I'm going to hit Alt-I, and it's going to ask me what I'd like to do. Describe what you'd like to write, your notes, your outlines, and it'll help me generate a draft. So if I said, what is, whoops, how about if I type right, is NIST CSF framework. And I said, generate it. It will go out on the internet, go find the NIST framework, and then guess what? Build me this document. Now, I got to tell you, this is pretty damn easy to do. And I literally just created a NIST document on the NIST framework. This is a wild thing to be able to do. Okay, now, I happen to know, and I'm just going to say, keep this. I happen to know that this is an important thing to understand about NIST, about, Copilot, or all of the AI products. And this is very important. You need to know the subject you're researching to understand whether or not this is correct. I specifically said, let me know about the NIST CSF framework. I did not say, let me know about the NIST CSF version 2 framework, which has a new feature in it before identity called governance. So it pulled the information from the NIST 2018 document and gave me the information. Now, this information for the NIST 2018 or CSF 1.1 framework is absolutely correct. But once again, you have to look at it to review it. Now, I have to tell you something. How long did that take to do? I could have also said, and I'm just going to create a new document here, new. I want to go find to Copilot. I could come over here and I want to find out about document, or I could come back to Copilot in a new document. I'll just do new so you can see the screen. And it's Alt-I. And I could say reference a file and say, for example, I want to reference this Word document or this PowerPoint, okay? And now it's going to read my PowerPoint and it's going to generate, look at this. Here's the key points from my NIST framework PowerPoint. This is pretty cool. This is a feature that lets you have a capability that, how long would that take you to do? This is not something you could do in 30 seconds. And I've taken 30 seconds to say, go summarize this meeting. Go summarize this plan. Give me the elements of this plan. And guess what? Automatically do it. And I can still go back into Copilot, and now I can do something else. So I can say, okay, now take this and summarize this document and say, go ahead and summarize it. And now it'll go out and summarize this document. And now if I put a copy here, and I'll just put this on the bottom of the page. There's the summary of the document. By the way, this is kind of neat. You could also say, tell me the controls that I need for NIST 800-53. And now guess what? It'll go look at NIST 800-53 and start giving me the information that I need to understand, including the references. Here's where AI, all of a sudden, to me, makes a lot of sense in my day-to-day business. So I wanted to kind of show you that. So once you've set Copilot up, then what you have to do is customize it. You could change what language you want to be in. And right now, Microsoft supports about 20 languages. You can also choose the way that you want your content delivered. You'll notice that when and I'll go back to Word here, I can go in here and I could look at the references of where it found it, okay? I could cut and paste this into a document or modify it as I need to. I can view the prompts. I can look at this. I can manage plugins and search engines. This allows me to look. So do I want to look at web content or do I want to look at something that's on my machine? I can choose those options. So in Word, I've got this capability. It'll automatically do headings and bullet points. It'll build content based on either documents I already have, enabling me to generate and quickly, efficiently look at it. I can also search on the internet. I can search libraries in SharePoint. to say, go get me the status of this project and make a project report for me. One of the other features that you can do that I like a lot is that this has a capability for me to be able to build a style sheet of the way I want to do something. So if my boss said to me, excuse me, I'm the boss, but if a client said to me, Jay, I need you to take all these documents and format them so they all look the same way for each thing that you're doing, I could go out and build documents this way. And that's a very, very efficient way of doing things. If I needed to build controls, for example. I can also choose the grammar and the spelling errors, and it'll actually let me go in and look at the spelling. Do I have rephrased sentences? Am I using an active voice? Am I using a passive voice? Am I using authoritative? Do I want it to be more casual or more technical or more legal? Once again, don't use this and say, oh, I'm going to create a legal document using AI as a brief and not know what the brief means, because once again, that doesn't mean you're going to know what it says. You've got to check it and spell it. This will also let me, excuse me, create tables. It'll allow me to adjust the margins. It'll allow me to shape the style, look, and feel of the document and the tables in it. In Excel, I can use this to help me virtualize and understand the data that I have. Okay, so I can go in there and say, pick me a chart, build me a chart. I'm going to ask the question, how long would it take? Let me just get my little highlighter. For some of you to build a chart like this. Ugh, hey, Copilot, go in this file and build me a chart that has this look and feel. And it'll build all these charts for you. Once again, you have to analyze what the chart is saying to make sure it meets the representation. It includes pivot charts, conditional formatting. It allows you to do those things. And, but wait, there's more. It'll allow you to automate formulas like averages and sums to do these things. So instead of cutting and pasting row to row to row to do these formulas, I can say, please summarize this entire table, put the results of each column in the section, and Copilot will do it for me. I love this feature. Once again, I'll check it, okay? It'll also allow me to create really complex graphs and then format them accordingly. And you can say, I'd like the graph to be in this style format, in this feature set, in this format, in this way. But wait, you can also use it with PowerPoint. And I thought the best way to do this is to make a PowerPoint slide. So let me open up PowerPoint. File. Let's start with the simple one here. Copilot. Create a presentation about ISC2. I'm going to create a presentation about the ISC2 New Jersey chapter. There's a lot of stuff on the New Jersey chapter. But I'll just kind of give you a feel for this because I think this is kind of an interesting thing to do. Now, Abram, you asking the question, is the data not being used to train AI and make the information public? The answer is no, it is not. By the way, I can use Designer to change the layout, but I just want to show you what this did at this level without going any further. So here's the chapter. Here's the chapter and the benefits of joining. Here's what ISC2 is, what the New Jersey chapter is, what the mission is. what is ISC 2, the mission of the chapter, the benefits of joining it, the networking opportunities, professional development, certification exam. And you can see it just built 14 pages about the New Jersey chapter. However, let's go a little different here. And I'll do the same example that we talked about before, which is this CSF framework. So I'm going to do the NIST CSF framework, and I'd like to build a presentation. All right. Oh, it'll fix it. Now, while I'm sitting here, it's going to make my 2-hour presentation about the NIST cybersecurity framework. Once again, you notice I did not ask for it to be, what do you call it? To be the NIST CSF framework 2.0. So Melissa's asking the question, can I adjust for real-time trends? If I'm structuring document, can you read the best on SEO? And the answer is yes, you can. You have to customize to go do that. And I can pull from a date and a range. Now, it'll let me play the game here for a second. Okay. By the way, you'll notice it's got the graphics here. Okay. And here's my presentation of the framework. Here's a presentation. Now, it'll also say if I want to go use Designer, which is another feature, it starts coming out. Okay. So, Michael, I'm going to ask you to come on mic and tell me what you want to search for. Let's create something. Give me something to search for. Mitchell Indigo, Identico. I'm sorry. Or somebody give me a topic.
How about adversarial AI? And I apologize. I wasn't sure if you meant me or I'm frequently called Michael. I wasn't sure if you meant me after I messaged. I'm sorry.
So it's now looking, it's building titles to the slide. And here we go. You tell me. By the way, I want you to notice, this is kind of interesting. It's actually giving you even the notes on the bottom of the slides. This is a presentation, Michael.
Visually, it should properly, but notably, it doesn't cite any sources, including allegedly a claim that adversarial AI has existed since the 1970s. I don't think that term, now I could be wrong here, but I don't think that term even existed before last year.
It did.
Okay,
I know for a
okay,
fact it did.
okay.
But okay, so now let's play the game again. Let's go back here. Copy. I'm going to go back to Word. I'm going to say, let's go look at it in Word and what it did in Word. Give me references. See what happens. That's giving me the references from the document. Tell me more about adversarial AI. Let's see if that works. Guess what? How's that? So now it's giving you the references. So it's not perfect, but I now have, and I'm just going to play the game by doing split screen. And now I'm doing it split screen. And it gives me some information. How's that? So it's giving me some information. Now I will tell you there are a couple of issues with this today that I found over and over again. One of the issues is that if I want to search an online location like SharePoint, I have to give it the very specific link to the SharePoint document, the full URL. I can't say go to my SharePoint site and do it. So I have to give it the path name. And sometimes that breaks. Now, inside of Copilot, I can also see the history of any chats that I've had. So I can actually do chats of what's going on inside the system itself. Questions? Any other topics that you want me to kind of look over? So sometimes it'll rewrite the story, but I'll do another example here in Word that's kind of a good one. File, new. Think of a good example.
Look, can you interact with it and have it actually make changes? Like if you had
Yeah.
for the CFS framework, can you tell it, oh, I wanted it for the 2.0 framework, go update the presentation to be
It
current with
doesn't update
2.0?
the presentation, it creates a new one at this time. It won't go back and fix the presentations. That's a limitation that I know of, is at this point.
Okay, so you can't interact with it like you would if you were, like if I use Copilot through the web, I can interact with it. It'll produce a document and then I'll change it to be this and then I guess it does rewrite it, but
Right,
Yeah.
but it won't take an existing document and rewrite the existing document. So let me pull a
Got it.
file here. Let me do this. Supply chain. Let's do this. File new.
Hey, Jay,
Yes, give me 1 second. Let me just kind of quickly do something here. Create a supply chain policy using the NIST 800-53 standards. Actually, I should have said CSF, but we'll do that. So I'm going to copy this into the document. So there's the document and the policy, okay? So here's a draft policy that I just created, okay? Obviously, I can go say, find me more supply chain examples. So I'm going to look for something that I know of. Oh, wait for that, okay? Find me the example of the Cisco fake product supply chain case. Okay, so it doesn't find anything about within my organization. However, it did find exactly what I was looking for, which is the case right here. So now I could say example from the web. And I could copy that and then put it in my document. Okay, and guess what? Here's the references for the supply chain, you know, what it is. Question? Somebody had a question. So now that I have this, just to take it 1 step further, I can go in here and say, okay, go look at clarity of this, okay? And it said, oh, consider this. And it says, oh, was led by, okay, do I want to ignore this or change it? And then what is the formality that I want to do? Okay. So I could say, instead of scam, I could say fraud. Question. Somebody had a question.
yeah, I'm just curious, where's this data, excuse me, actually, where's the processing actually happening? Because I know with ChatGPT, there was an issue earlier this year, maybe late last year, where the data was supposed to be siloed, but there was actually cross pollination between different instances of ChatGPT.
So the Copilot, now let me just change that by doing something else, which I have to do. So I'm going to open up Copilot here for AI. Now, this is the one that's in your Windows computer. Okay. Okay. So if I wanted to do a Copilot question, okay, This is absolutely coming from the internet, and this is not isolated to me. This is anybody in the world would see this information and where it comes from. And you can see it does have the references. So if I clicked on number 3, you can see exactly where this is coming from. This is Copilot that's in Bing. This is Copilot that's in Windows 11. This is Copilot on your OS. The Copilot here inside of Word, inside of Office, is restricted to and keeps the information from your organization only based on roles-based access to you or to the internet, but it keeps the results inside your environment and does not share it back to Microsoft. So there are 2 different security models here. So if I try and reach a file, Charles, that I don't have permission to, if I say go search SharePoint, or I go say go search this folder, and this folder, I don't have file permissions for it, it will not access it. It accepts the ACLs, the access control lists. It also accepts all the other security features. So for example, and I'm going to play the game here, file, and a lot of people may not know this exists, info, protect document. One of the features that has been in Office since Office 96 is something called Rights Management Permissions, RMS. Let this kind of go. And I'm just going to use RMS, and I will restrict access. And what this allows me to do is apply permissions to a document. So I'll do this at a very high level. I can say who can read a document, who can change a document, who can modify a document. Cancel it. Okay, I can, and what happens is when I use RMS, and I can also say the date it expires, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In RMS, when I do this, okay, and we'll just do this for the purpose of discussion as I'm talking this through. In RMS, I can actually say, excuse me, because I did that, okay, I want my file to be protected. When I do that, that file gets protected. The author of the file creator of the file becomes an author. That author has the permission to create some rules. We can do this globally at an enterprise level, or we can do it manually. So if I went to the file and I went file, I'll just play the game, info, protect information, restrict access. Okay, I can select a label of who can see it, whether it's personal, confidential, for the organization. It's highly confidential. And I can say specific people, say apply, and then I get permissions that I can apply to that to restrict that access. That access, and I'm having a fundamental issue right now because I've got 3 different accounts running at the same time, will allow me to create a document. It'll say that you can open up the document, you can't open up the document. So the first phase of this rights protection is, it says who can read the document or who can manage the document, okay? Once I apply those names, there are other permissions. I can say whether you can cut, copy, paste out of the document, whether you can do a print screen, whether the document lives for a day, an hour, or a week. I can choose all of those fundamental features. Once I've done that in that document is now secure and no one can look at that document again. Once I've created that role to that document, and I've created that role to that document at that point, okay, let me just go back to the slideshow. That document gets written with my public key, so I can open it with my private key, and also gets encrypted using the public key of the rights management server. If you're using Office 365, it's built in there. So I want to send a message to Janice. Janice gets that message, but she can't open it up. The message then, what do you call it? That document, whether it's email sent on a USB file, whatever it gets sent to, whether it's a PC, a Mac, or Linux, that file then connects to the rights management service in Active Directory, in Office 365. Or if Janice doesn't have Office 365, it's Microsoft Live. Janice acknowledges and validates that that's who it is, and that the file re-encrypts the file using a Janice's public key, and if Janice doesn't have a private key, it generates it for her and gives it to her. Now Janice opens up the file, and then the permissions inside the file, whether Janice can cut, copy, paste, or just read the file, then apply. If Janice takes that file and forwards it to David K is not going to be able to open up the file. And if Janice says, well, I'm going to use print screen, I'm going to use Snagit, if the application is smart enough to say, no, you can't do that, and they'll actually gray out the screen. If I right manage the application, you can't look at it. Once again, Office 365 will not, what do you call it? The Copilot won't be able to look at that file. If I put a file permission on it and you hack the file permission, if somebody does something silly, like, for example, I'll play the game here. I'm going to open up my folder, go to my desktop, create, let's go back up. Let's create a new folder here. Create a new document. Okay. So I've got a folder and a new document. I'm going to go back up one. If I go to this folder and I go to options, and I go to properties, and I do the following, which a lot of people don't know under security, I add a user, okay? And I give them full control. So I'm going to edit this, and we say users, full control, say apply. Now that user can grant anybody else permission to that folder because they become an admin to it. So you got to make sure that the users that you have don't have full control, because then if I'm any user on the system, in this case, this box, I can look at that folder, even though you didn't give me permissions, you administratively gave me the permissions this way. So if I don't have the permission itself, okay, and if you don't hack the ACLs and you don't hack the file, then the answer is no, you're not going to get access to it. So Microsoft has been saying for a while, and let me just open up what I call it. Let me just delete this because I'll forget it. Okay, if I open up a file, and let's just go to Word, for example. Okay, that's what the sensitivity spot over here is all about. Is okay, is saving sensitivity. Okay, so that you know there's a sensitivity label so that you can control certain features, or you can use rights management to protect the file a little bit better. Will this go out and get an Acrobat? Will this go out and look at a PDF and suck down what's inside a PDF? The answer is absolutely yes. So if I said to Copilot, hey, Copilot, go find a new document and do something to it, it'll go out and do it. So if and I'll just play the game here because it's silly, but I'll open up a new blank document just to prove this stupid thing here. Whoops. How about file open? I'm going to open up a document, browse to my computer. And a lot of people don't know that this exists, which is why Copilot can do it. So here I have the NIST 800-37 PDF. I'm just opening up in Word. It's 37 pages, so it's going to take a little bit of time. But it's now converting the NIST 800-37 PDF to a Word document. And there it is. This is a Word document. This is not a slide, I can cut, paste, and do it. And now I can go into Copilot and say, go summarize this document. And I'll just play the game to make it easy. I'll just go to the summarize. And, okay. And guess what? There it goes. Just did it. Now, here's the stupid part. I need to copy this. So I want to put in this document? No, so I got to go file, new document, and then paste it in here. And now I have that document that I did. So there are some limited features, okay? If I said, go update this, go look at this, go do some other things, it's not there. One of the things that happened here, and I just want to show you this, is you see the 1 here? Or the 23? Those are the references that it created in the original document. But because I put it into this new document, those references don't exist anymore. They're hanging there. It's an issue that I'm aware of, so I look at it. And I understand that. And I can go back and say, okay, well, guess what? Here were the references of where it found it. But when I cut and pasted it, it didn't bring the references along with it. The references are down here. So now I'd have to go and, well, wait a minute, I can't really cut them there. So that is an issue that I'm aware of. Are there questions so far? Okay.
Hey,
So,
Jay,
yes,
yeah, question. Have you tried seeing if you can query, have Copilot check the permissions of a file that's on your drive? Does it
it'll
return
actually
any
go
result?
back and say, at this point, it says that Copilot does not have permissions to access this folder or this file.
Oh, okay.
It'll actually say there's a permission issue. If I say to Copilot, I want you to summarize 30 documents, there's a limit of the number of documents at the present time that it will do. So what I do is I summarize a document, summarize a document, summarize a document, bring all the documents into one document, and then say, please summarize this major document. It's not pretty, but that's where it is at this point. This is version 1 of Copilot for Office. I will tell you, without giving dates, there's a new version coming out. They keep updating it. One of the other things that's an important thing to know about Copilot, Tim, is Copilot comes with free text support. So if you're running Copilot on your computer and you have a question, you have an issue, you can literally reach out and say, hey, Microsoft, I'm having a problem with this document. Copilot, can you help me? And I think that's a really nice feature that they've got for us. Oops. Okay, so here's the Copilot. I can go into the Copilot engine and I can say, I want to chat with them, or Copilot chats, and I can say new chat, and guess what? I can start asking for stuff, or I can go into the Copilot support capability and say, Copilot, I'm having a problem, Microsoft support. And when you buy Copilot, you actually get an email from Microsoft saying, hey, if you're having problems with Copilot, here's how to reach us. And their responses are very, very fast. I was shocked. But they want to learn what's working and not working, because now that everybody's using it, there's more and more people who are coming up with issues. And they might be blunt and say, that's not supported at the present time, but thank you for letting us know this. That's a feature you want. That's a feature we'll put into the workload. And I can say this as a Microsoft MVP, they're working very hard on bringing a lot of the features that people are requesting, not the one-offs, but a lot of the features that people are requesting into the engine. And I've seen some of those updates already happen. Once again, the color schemes, the templates are all there. I can say, create the PowerPoint, but use the artwork from my folders. And it'll find my folder artwork and bring it in. It can reach out to Designer, which is another Microsoft product. Okay. It'll also do images and icons to give you better flows. It'll bring in, if you say you want to build a workflow, I'm in PowerPoint. Let's jump out of slides for a second here. Go to PowerPoint. Okay, and here's Designer, which is generating those charts. Okay. But I can say, show me more designs. And they'll start building, more design ideas, and it'll give me more design ideas. Whoops. So now it's changing the format a little bit. Now it's, this guy all the way through it. So it will give me those capabilities as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to go back and show you something. One of the other areas that Copilot is very good for is if I want to go into, not designs, insert, okay, I want to do smart art or forms or talk to Power BI, it has that capability of doing that as well, including smart art and charts, okay? So it will make me, if I say make a pie chart, make a service plot, make a radar chart, make any of these charts, it'll help me to understand the stuff and do it. Now, there's not a lot of stuff in this presentation because there's not a lot of numbers in it to do this, but it'll give me those capabilities and it'll bring the information out of that form or out of that spreadsheet or out of that PowerPoint. And they all kind of talk to each other to pass information back and forth. So I could say, now take this and make a Word document out of it for my class outline for the course I'm going to teach. It'll also do animations for you. I'm not an animation person by any means, but the animation of opening up the first slide, I actually asked Copilot to do it. It'll also look for multimedia and audio and videos. So it will go out and typically look on the internet. So if I said, go find a video of Kevin Mitnick, or a video of this, or an audio image, or a picture of something, it'll go out and do that to make it a little more dynamic. So some tips. One, customize the Copilot in your settings. It allows you to save time. It lets you understand what you want to do. So inside the Office 365, and I'm not going to show you my Office 365 account for security reasons, there is some capabilities where you can adjust the Copilot. You can do this as an enterprise admin. If you're running Office 365 for your corporation, you can give Copilot the rules that you wanted to do and not to do. You can also, if you're running it for your home purposes, using a personal copy of Office 365, then you have that capability as well. Pitfalls. Absolutely. Don't rely 100% on Copilot. Never. I would never just say Copilot makes something and close my eyes and it's done. You got to proofread it and you got to verify the data in it. I have taken documents of my own and said, hey, Copilot, summarize this document. And then I've gone and looked and it's misunderstood something, or it's changed words into a format I didn't do. I'll give you a good example. I said, Copilot, give me the instruction sets for doing IP configuration in Windows and Linux. And it said IP config, and in Linux it's IF config. And I said, no, give it to me in the command in Linux only. And it said, oh, that's IF config. But when I said Windows and Linux, it just said IP config. It didn't give me the IF config. So it's one of those things you have to really look at. Now, this continuous learning happens, okay? So one of the things that Office 365 has is that Microsoft is continually learning the large memory models of your organization to understand what's better for you. Once again, your stuff is your stuff. If you use Copilot in Edge, okay. So this Copilot here, okay, is this work of the web, okay? So if I want to find something out here, like, what do you call it? Kind of gave me a little bit more about it, okay? And it says this may or may not be the correct. So it said it came from Sporting News in Tennessee. It didn't come from the Daytona Speedway information. Okay. If I say, well, tell me about this guy, it's like Google search, but it's giving me the results, and it's also giving me this time it went to NASCAR. Okay, but this search is the same search that everybody else in the world does. The Copilot in Office is focused on my environment and my environment only, unless I'm searching the web. Okay, so that's kind of what Copilot for Office does. It allows us to leverage the applications to create quicker, faster. I'm going to do the statement here, version 1 of your document, so that you can edit it to come to a version 2 or final version of your document. I would absolutely not say, okay, it does not itself create a document that I would use by itself ever. I have to go in and edit it and review it. I have to make it sure it reads right, the context is right, and the technical information is right. Okay, because it is not 100% perfect by any. Okay, where the AI models work perfectly, and for those of you who were at ISC2 Congress in Las Vegas, there's a good presentation about the generic AIs. If you ask the question, how many giraffes are in the room, it'll say 1. Because it doesn't know if there is giraffes or not giraffes. However, if I said, I'm looking at the molecular structure of this atom or this specific chemical product, tell me the differences, the accuracy gets a lot higher. So AI is still learning a lot as it learns your organizational style, as it learns Office and PowerPoint and what a majority of users do. They're adding those feature sets to it to make it easier and faster work. One of the areas that, for example, the Microsoft Copilot is working really well in, and I see this a lot, is in Microsoft Sentinel, which is their SIM, the Security and Incident and Event Management System. It's saying, okay, my organization is 9 to 5. Tim's organization is 24 hours a day. So in my organization, if you see an event happen between 6 at night and 6 in the morning, that's not normal, call me. Whereas in Tim's organization, 24 hours a day, his focus on what a normal event is, working 24 hours a day, and network usage is a lot different than mine. So that's where the machine learning and the AI are merging together to get us better quality of information. information. And with that, does anyone have any questions or comments that they want to go over?
I've got two thoughts. One, what's the compliance look like for this with 365? And then the second question I have would be, is have you gotten it to actually hallucinate and bypass the permissions on any files that you've restricted?
When it goes to a file that's been restricted, Microsoft has been pretty good to say, guess what? It doesn't work. I'm sorry, I don't have access to that file. Now, if I'm an admin to the folders and you haven't put rights management or any other security model around it, then yes, I can look at everything.
And what about the compliance aspect of it in terms of like FINRA, HIPAA?
So, inside the portal of Copilot as the enterprise admin for Copilot, there are a whole bunch of compliance settings that you can configure based on what it is. Microsoft had to do that internally for themselves. Obviously, they have to do it because it's used in Europe. It comes in Office. So there are a bunch of compliance settings that you can configure.
Pertaining to Copilot.
Yes, specifically on Copilot.
Okay. It's
Okay.
been a while since I've used Enterprise.
Right. As for Copilot on Office 2019, I believe the answer is no. On Office 2024, I believe the answer is yes. There is an Office 2024, but I'm not sure about that because I don't use those.
You're talking about the standalone, the
Standalone. Charles asked the question about the standalone.
Yeah.
So I don't know that. But Charles, I will say that you can get an Office 365 single account. I think it's like $99 a year. Wink, wink, wink. If you happen to have a student in the house, it's a lot cheaper, the student pricing for the license, and I think it's for a family.
Yeah, it's for 5 licenses. And each one gets a terabyte.
Right, but I mean, the price is very cheap at the student price.
Oh, yeah.
Other questions or thoughts? So for example, I teach at Manchester Community College. I also teach at BMCC, which is in New York City. I'm teaching a CISSP review course during at nights for them, for the college. It's the official CISSP course. In their Office 365 tenant, they've enabled Copilot, but they've enabled only limited functionality in Copilot for the college.
Yeah, so Jay, in that vein, right? Most of the configurations are controlled by the admins of your Office tenant. But does the end user have any configuration options in Copilot?
So the answer is the compliancy issues that we're talking about comes from the tenant. You as a user can go into your Office 365 account and say, this is the style I like, this is the functionality I want within the compliance requirements that, so it's like, I'm going to play the game. You have an Office account. The manager sets up your Office. You can set up the templates the way you want them to be, but you can't override what the admin's letting you do. So God control goes to the admin, and then some control comes to you. Does that make sense? And I know that's not the perfect answer, but
Yeah, no, that's in our organization, we've blocked use of it for now
right.
until
And guess what? You don't have it until you buy it. How's that for an answer? Because you have to add it to your license.
Well,
It doesn't come with Office 365 by default. If you have
not
Copilot,
E3,
what? No,
not E3 or E5? No.
not yet. It may come next year, but it's not in there today. At least it's not my E5 and not my E3. Let's put it that way. It's an add-on that may get added or may not. I don't know. But there will be, and I know this answer, there will be a way to administratively make a Copilot, for lack of better description, sub-administrator who can administrate just Copilot without having the permissions to administrate all of Office 365. So a delegated control.
Yeah, that's good. I know Microsoft's cutting back on how many global admins there should be.
They don't want.
They don't want a lot.
No, their answer is 2. The only reason for 2 is if one guy leaves, you have access to the account. Other than that, the answer is no. And so they want delegated control. They want you to use either the rights management or the sensitive labels. They want you to use that stuff. They absolutely want you to be able to use that stuff. That's really important for them. Okay? So sensitivity or admin controls. They want you, a rights management or a combination of both. And just as a quick demo, this is a stupid demo, but just a demo to show why Microsoft is whoops. Let's do it this way. Why Microsoft is big on this. Oh, yeah. The game here. Let me just change my screen for a second so that you can kind of get a feel for this. So here's the PDF I just created. I'm going to open this up in Acrobat. So you can see I can edit, I can play the game of editing. What I'm going to do here, encrypt the PDF. I'm lazy, so I'm going to use my password editor to create a password. I'm going to create a ridiculous password just to show you what the password is. That's the password. I think everybody will agree that that's a ridiculous password. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to save it. Close it. So I have password protected file. I'm going to use the tool that I have. Yeah, there we go. I will get it later. I'm going to take the password. Guess what? Permissions were removed. It's done. Here's the new file. Oops. Let's open it up with Acrobat. And guess what? You can see I can edit it. So Acrobat protection scheme It's not as good as people think. The Microsoft rights management scheme is really very, 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 very strong. It's using AES 256 bit encryption. Anyone have any questions or comments that I can answer for you before I let you go for the night? And I appreciate everybody coming in.
Jay, I have a quick question. How easy it is to reformat? Because for sometime in Word, when you to reformat something, it's so difficult. Once you have the draft, how easy it is to reformat, move things, change picture? Is it really easy to move them around?
It really is.
Okay.
It does a good job of that.
Okay.
So one, cut and paste it, and then once the document is created, let me just open up a Word doc here. Okay. Go to home, go to Copilot. I can now say, summarize this document, or I can say, add graphics to this document, and I can say, do something. And I can start adding information in and changing it. So there are those functionalities there.
Okay.
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 And you can see, guess what? Here's extra features. So look, write more concisely, quick, list the pros and cons, get more specific information. You can add a stock image. You can see all the features I have here in tasks and all the extra features. So this is the customization that Tim was asking about earlier that I can do this is me controlling my environment.
So how's that different from asking it to update the document to be 2.0?
So this is the way I want Copilot to work on my computer. So for example, I can say learn or analyze or understand or manage or people. So if I go to people, it'll create a donor profile. It knows certain functions of what I want it to do.
But if you wanted to swap a photo out, could you say, take the picture on page 2 and swap it out for the photo, da-da-da?
It works some of the time, not all of the time. If I highlight the picture, it's better. But it's not perfect. Not yet. But once again, once I'm in that picture, okay, and I will specify this. In Word isn't focused on pictures as much as PowerPoint is. So if I took the Word document, brought it into PowerPoint, and then in PowerPoint I said, create or make new pictures or new designs, PowerPoint's better at that than Word is, knowing the tool sets that I have. If I want to do charts, bring it into Excel and bring the chart into Excel and then bring it back into Word. Does that make sense if I do it that way, Robert? Just understanding the weaknesses of the different products.
Yeah, I get it. It's a little bit of a, you got to play with it to see what it can do and where.
Exactly. But you can see, for example, if I wanted to create an FAQ or develop best practices or draw a user introduction, okay, I could do this. And it's, interpret logs. There's a cool feature for me. I want to go interpret logs, okay? And then I'll start looking at logs. And then I can say, well, okay, so guess what? It's starting to give me all that information. But I could point it to my event viewer logs and say, tell me about my event viewer. And I'll just play the game just so you can see what it kind of did.
Can it create like architectural drawings? Like if you pointed out different, like I have this, I don't know, whatever, I've got this design in AWS in terms of how my thing looks. Would it
the
create a,
following statement, read between the lines. Visio today isn't supported yet.
Okay.
Can I leave it at that?
sure.
Okay. Do I think that Visio and Publisher and other Microsoft Office products will be supported down the road? What do you think?
For the right
And-
amount of money.
Wait a minute, it's Microsoft. Do you think they're gonna embed it in all their products?
Why not?
Okay, Ignite is coming up soon. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a whole bunch of announcements about Copilot. But I'm not gonna say anything to break my NDA. Any other questions or comments? In that case, I thank everybody. Have a great night and enjoy yourselves. Please, if you're not a member of the chapter, join the chapter and have a great day.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much,
Bye,
Jay, for
friends.
this.
Nice job.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good night.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.